Okay, when you think of Nevada, what comes to mind? It's Las Vegas, right? Bright lights, casinos, just a non-stop party. But that's just a tiny, glittering fraction of a much stranger and frankly, a far more fascinating story. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the real Silver State. What if I told you there's a place where they used to test nuclear bombs so openly that people would literally grab a cocktail and watch the mushroom clouds bloom from their hotel rooftops? And what if that same state contained the most artificially lit city on the entire planet, right next to some of the darkest, clearest night skies in the whole country? A place where the constant cha-chang of slot machines exists in a landscape defined by this almost absolute crushing silence? Yeah, these sound like crazy contradictions, and that's exactly the point. This is not fiction. This is Nevada. And its real story is just a masterclass in paradox. So, let's get into it. All right, first things first. We have got to tackle the biggest myth about Nevada, that it's just one big city surrounded by a whole lot of nothing. Believe it or not, the entire Las Vegas metro area occupies less than 1% of Nevada's land. Seriously, all the glitz and fame we know fits into a space that's basically a statistical rounding error. So what about the rest of the state? Well, a whopping 85% of it is owned and controlled by the U.S. federal government. And this, right here, is the single most important fact for understanding Nevada. It's not empty by accident. So what's actually in that other 99%? The real Nevada. It's a land of rugged extremes. It has more mountain ranges than any other state in the lower 48. It's got these vast, silent deserts, working mining towns that feel like you've stepped back in time, and sprawling ranches that are bigger than some entire countries. But see, that massive emptiness isn't a bug. It's a feature. It was chosen for a very, very specific purpose. That 85% federal ownership, the highest of any state, is exactly why huge parts of Nevada are totally off limits. And it's why it became the perfect place to hide some of the nation's biggest secrets, right in plain sight. Which, of course, brings us to the most famous secret of them all. Everybody wants to know, what is really going on at Area 51? Is it aliens? UFOs? The truth is probably way more fascinating. See, Area 51 is just one piece of this whole secrecy ecosystem. The middle-of-nowhere isolation of the Nevada desert is the perfect laboratory for testing the future. We're talking classified stealth aircraft, advanced drone tech, aerospace research that is literally decades ahead of what you and I know about. It's not about aliens from another world. It's about technology from our own future. But how did the famous part of Nevada, the casinos, the quickie marriages, how did that even happen? Well, it wasn't born from glamour. It was born from pure, unadulterated desperation. Okay, picture it. It's 1931, the height of the Great Depression, and Nevada is about to go completely broke. So in this last-ditch effort to get any money into the state, they legalized gambling and made getting a divorce unbelievably fast and easy. This wasn't some grand vision. It was a survival tactic that just happened to accidentally create the entire Las Vegas phenomenon. Fame didn't find Nevada. Nevada had to chase it. And that desperation led to one of the absolute weirdest chapters in American history. Starting in 1951, the government began testing nuclear bombs just 65 miles from Vegas. And what did the city do? They turned it into a tourist attraction. Hotels would advertise their prime views of the mushroom clouds. Casinos served atomic cocktails. For over a decade, nuclear war was entertainment. Just wild. But long before the atomic age, before the casinos, Nevada had a totally different identity, one that was rooted deep in the earth itself. It was a mining powerhouse. Way back in 1859, the discovery of the Comstock lode, this massive vein of silver, changed everything. The incredible wealth that poured out of those mines actually helped fund the Union Army during the Civil War and paid for the railroads that built the modern American West. Nevada's silver didn't just make the state rich, it helped build the country. And here's where history starts to rhyme. Today, Nevada is still a mining giant, not just for gold, but for lithium, the key ingredient for the batteries in our phones, our laptops, our electric cars. The very same ground that once funded the railroads is now powering our future. Nevada is, once again, right at the center of a global tech revolution. So, when you put all of this together, the secrets, the silence, the spectacle, you start to see the central theme, right? Nevada is a state of profound, almost jarring extremes. I mean, you have the non-stop sensory overload of the Vegas Strip, one of the brightest spots on Earth, in the same state as Great Basin National Park, where the sky is so dark, so free of light pollution, you can see the Milky Way with your own eyes. It's the ultimate contrast of loud versus silent. Then you have the famous versus the unknown. You've got these globally recognized casinos and entertainment brands in a state that has more abandoned, forgotten ghost towns than it has currently populated cities. It's like a living museum of ambition and failure, sitting right next to each other. And finally, there's this paradox of being lawless versus regulated. Nevada sells itself as this place of ultimate freedom, right? Where you can take risks and do what you want. And yet, it's also home to some of the most highly restricted, top secret, and heavily controlled land on the entire planet. So, in the end, maybe the best way to think about Nevada isn't as a place, but as an idea. It's like this ongoing experiment in risk, reinvention, and secrecy. The incredible, paradoxical story of Nevada was hiding right there, just behind the neon facade we all thought we knew. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, what other secrets are hiding in plain sight? The world is a whole lot stranger than it looks.